What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel for another video. I am so super excited you guys are here. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Let's start off with that because I'm having an amazing day and I hope that you are all too. I am so super stoked to finally make this video because I wanted to share with you guys how I recently passed the ACSM Certified Personal Trainer exam. Woo! I did it! What? Thank you all. Thank you so much. You can all sit down now. I have been looking to get my certification for a very long time now. I honestly wanted to try to get it my freshman year of college, and I underestimated my college workload, so I was like, yeah, I can do this. I bought all the textbooks to go through ISSA, and I never touched them. I'm very embarrassed to say that, but I couldn't do it with the workload that I had in school, and my jobs at school, and everything like that. It's been about 3 days since I passed, so the information on the test is still pretty fresh in my mind on what you guys need to know, how I studied, how it worked, what didn't work for me, and just kind of how to go about this whole certification process, because from the beginning, initially looking in, it's a little bit overwhelming. Which organization do you go through? Which certification do you get? Once you start studying, how do you finish studying? How do you go about taking the exam? So I just kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit of an outline on what I did and how I officially passed, and I am now a certified personal trainer. Now that I am officially a certified trainer, I am going to be doing online coaching and online training and things like that. So come January 1st, all that kind of stuff is going to be starting to happen. I'm so super excited to give back to you guys who have followed me this whole time and supported my journey and supported me quitting my job and giving my all to personal training and virtual training online. I'm just so excited. So make sure that you hit that little thumbs up button, you subscribe, and let's get into the video. So this is the official little paper you're gonna get once you go in and you take the test. You will find out right away, like immediately once you click submit your exam, you're gonna find out right away whether you passed or you failed. It shows up right there, says that you passed, and honestly, that's when I started crying. I started crying in the test center, in my hands, I was sobbing. So the first step in getting certified is figuring out which organization you want to go through. You want to find one that works best for you, and what I did personally was I researched some of the gyms that I wanted to work at in the area, and I saw which kind of certifications they accepted. Some certifications are not nationally recognized, and that is something that's super important to pay attention to if you're looking at making this your career. I didn't want to get a certification just to get one and kind of be able to use it where I can. I wanted to go through the most well-known, most well-respected brands, so that way I am going to be qualified for what I want to do. The last thing you want to do is be underqualified and taking these people's lives into your hands. So I decided to go through ACSM, the American College of Sports Medicine, because it is the gold standard for personal training exams. I absolutely testify and say that they know what they're talking about. Really, really stress that you have to meet a certain level of standard to be qualified and to be considered a personal trainer. So now that you have chosen your certification program you want to go through, so say you pick ACSM, next step is buying your textbooks. So I will say that I was taking the exam on December 11th or 10th, I think it was the 10th, right before the exam study materials changed. So if you're looking at going through ACSM, these textbooks are not going to be the most updated version of the textbook that you want to buy, but this is just kind of what you should be looking for. First and foremost is the ACSM Resources for Personal Trainer. This is like the big textbook. I went through this entire thing, read it front to back, and highlighted every single key point, every single important thing that I thought of. I went through again the second time and went over all of my highlighted sections and made flashcards throughout it, just because I love flashcards. They help me a lot to kind of memorize quick points and numbers and things like that. So that's how I went through that book. The next book is this ACSM Certification Review book. I honestly didn't start using this one until like 5 days before the exam, and this is great because it has a couple practice exams in it. It has some like risk stratification examples, a couple of multiple, well, it has like 100 multiple choice questions, so I like that because you can give yourself quizzes, and then it also has the answers and explanations in the back of the book. So the third textbook is this Guidelines for Exercise Testing and Prescription. I honestly didn't use this book. Sorry. Maybe I should have, but I passed and I didn't feel like I needed it. So this book I never even opened. What a waste. But it's always good to have more resources on hand, especially if you're going to make this your full-time career like I am. So I don't regret buying it, but you definitely don't need to look through this. It just takes into account a lot of the guidelines for testing and prescription, a lot more in depth. So it's going to have flexibility routines, reps for hypertrophy, and all kinds of stuff like that, where you can get all that information from the real textbook, like the resources one, so I just didn't really feel a need to go over it. So once you have your textbooks, you want to start just gradually working through the information. I will say, disclaimer, I just graduated in May with my degree in exercise science and a concentration in health and wellness. So this wasn't the first time that I'd been seeing anatomy and physiology, biomechanics, health behavior change. I'd seen all those terms before. So it might be a little bit easier for me because I've seen all those terms before, but relearning it again after 4 years of not taking anatomy and physiology is definitely kind of like relearning it the first time through. Obviously, a background in a health science field or exercise science, something like that, is going to help you out a little bit, but it's absolutely by no means necessary or mandatory to pass this exam. Once I finished all of the textbooks, I actually started doing some YouTube video searches for muscle contraction types and the planes of motion and what to expect on the ACSM test. That's why I'm making this video, because I felt like there were so many scattered videos that weren't super helpful, and I wish that I had one that said, this is what to expect, relax, it's gonna be fine. So once I started researching some YouTube videos, I actually came across Adrian Chavez, who is a certified personal trainer through ACSM. He's a doctor, and I absolutely loved the way that he presented the material. I'm gonna put a link to his channel down in the description bar below, because I felt like his description for things in the videos was super helpful. He dumbed it down, he made it very easy to understand, and I just really liked the approach he took. So once I started watching a lot more of Adrian's videos, I actually found that he provides a prep course for the ACSM CPT exam. So I was a little bit overwhelmed looking through the textbooks by myself. I need someone to kind of guide me when I'm studying. I can read it all through, but actually letting it file away in my brain, I need a little bit extra help. So I had no problem in signing up for his personal training prep course. I got it a little bit discounted because it was right before the exam study material was about to change, so it was only $50, and with that $50 you get a Facebook group. You can ask any kind of question in the world in the Facebook group. You can stay up to date on the other questions people are asking to kind of keep yourself refreshed with all the course material. And the best part is that he actually provides an online course, so it's real modules with a whole little lecture section and then a quiz at the end of it. I really liked that because I like taking practice quizzes. I like firing off the information by myself to know that it's staying fresh and that I can actually take what I know, take that definition I've learned, and apply it in a certain situation. So I found his course was extremely helpful. I highly, highly recommend getting to work with him. So now that I've been babbling for 12 years, what do you actually expect on the exam? There are definitely a couple of things that I can tell you guys to absolutely know, like the back of your hand, but a lot of it is just being comfortable enough with all of the material, really. And I know that sounds a little bit overwhelming, but it's not like, oh, I memorized chapter 12, now I can go pass. That's not personal training. You need to memorize this definition, understand this concept, pull them together, and then solve the problem at hand, if that makes any kind of sense. So a couple of things to absolutely know. I saw multiple questions about risk stratification. So this is basically how you do the pre-screening test with your client and kind of see what stratification or risk level they would be. So I had a couple of questions asking if they were low, moderate, or high risk. I had a couple of questions asking how many risk factors there were in that certain scenario, and this comes down to what their blood pressure is, diastolic, systolic, what their HDL, their LDL levels are, if they've been smoking recently, what their physical activity is, their family history, their age, all kinds of things come into play with that stuff. So absolutely know those like the back of your hand. Another thing that I saw a couple of questions on is nutrition. So with ACSM, they really stress that a certified personal trainer, their scope of practice is not to provide meal plans. So it's not, oh, what should Jenny eat if she's trying to lose weight? It's more caloric equivalent, so how many kcals is in a gram of fat, how many kcals is in a gram of alcohol, things like that. If an athlete is training, what is the recommended gram of carbs that he should have? What's the recommended percent daily intake of fats he should have? Stuff like that. So there's no specific like, oh, what should she eat? How much should she eat of it? But more kind of generalized standards and guidelines that athletes and normal humans should kind of go through. I did also get a couple of questions about pregnancy, kind of which positions to avoid after the first trimester, if she needs to be cleared by her doctor before starting a program. The answer is yes. So just kind of be really comfortable with the special population section. So people with diabetes, people who are obese, pregnant people, people with osteoporosis, definitely be comfortable with those situations. They want to make sure that you're going to know exactly how to deal with a client no matter what it is that they come to you with. Another thing that I saw a couple of questions on is the health behavior change. I love health behavior change. It's actually one of my favorite parts about exercise science and making people love living a healthier life. So this was knowing the SMART goals, which is specific, measurable, attainable, reasonable, and time sensitive. Knowing the trans-theoretical model and kind of know which stages of change someone's in. So again, like I was saying, it's not just know SMART goals. It's know, hey, what does that stand for? What does each section stand for? So definitely be comfortable with health behavior change concepts and how to go about clients who are coming to you with, resistance to changing their behaviors. I did have a couple of questions on stretching, the different types of those, whether it was static, dynamic, the PNF. I will say there was absolutely no question of mine that was, what is this muscle or what is this bone? There was no like diagrams, nothing to point to the bone or the muscle and kind of label it and identify what it was. I almost wish there was questions like that because that would be pretty easy, but instead it was, oh, in a good morning where you're lowering your back and kind of standing up straight for the glutes and hamstrings, what is happening at the hip or the hamstring, something like that. So while there wasn't like labeling and identifying muscles and bones, it was a lot more of, hey, during a shoulder lateral raise, what is your, middle deltoid doing? So you have to be able to identify that in the rotator cuff, there are 4 muscles, the sits muscles: supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, and the subscapularis. You have to memorize those muscles in order to know what's happening at the one that adducts the shoulder. There was definitely a couple of questions on negligence and the whole legalities of being a personal trainer and what you can and can't do. So really know the scope of your practice, really know what different kinds of negligence are, what's the #1 most made claim against personal trainers, just know omission, negligence, branch of duty, everything like that that personal trainers could get in trouble for. I definitely saw a good handful of questions on the chronic and acute adaptations of resistance training or cardiorespiratory training. So know that, with increased physical activity over time, what happens to your cardiac output? What happens to your max heart rate? Just really be comfortable with what happens in the body after you've been exercising for a long period of time. You're going to see questions on it. Definitely be comfortable with calculating BMI, calculating calories, knowing how much calories in versus calories out for someone, know how many calories is recommended for weight loss, what the main goal is for someone who's, training who is obese. I know that this video is a little bit all over the place with the information that you guys have to know, what to go into the test expecting, and kind of all of that. But I hope that it gave you a little bit of an inside look on what to expect on your test day and how to go about taking the test and actually passing. I did pass on my first time, which I was so grateful for because that's expensive to take the test. It is a little bit pricey to take the test, but if this is what you want to make as a career choice and this is what you want to do long term, it is absolutely worth it. I would use ACSM over and over again. I cannot recommend to you guys enough that you should absolutely go through them. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure again that you're subscribed to the channel and that you give this video a thumbs up. It'll just help me kind of see that you guys like this kind of stuff I'm putting out and you are just staying up to date on the channel, and I really, really appreciate you guys for that. You are going to go kill this exam. I have full faith in you. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, or you can always email me. My email is also in the description box. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.